A very good morning to you guys. Welcome to Asake Online. My name is Brighton Ncube. This is the Microsure Burning Platform. And today we'll bring another episode that is exciting. That speaks to entrepreneurs, that speaks to insurance issues, and that speaks to debt. How do you manage your debt as a small startup, as an entrepreneur? So we're going to be unpacking that and understanding more how to handle your debt as an entrepreneur. Joining me this morning again is the CEO of Microsure Insurance. More than just insurance, that's Nkosikhona Ndlovu. Good morning, sir, once more. How are you this week?
Good morning, Brighton. I'm very well. You are raising a very interesting conversation about debt management.
Yeah.
Maybe before we even go further in the conversation, I just want to give some hard facts and hard statistics around that issue. There is a study which was done by the World Health Organization in 2019, which showed that Zimbabwe in the world is number 34 in terms of suicides that are due to failure to service debt or economic challenges or financial distress. In Africa, Zimbabwe is number 5 according to the research that was done by the World Health Organization. But there's something also that I need to share with you, which shows that most of the suicide cases in the same study, which was done in 2019, are due to financial distress. In fact, the figure is over 71% of suicides that are committed are due to financial distress. I need to mention as a disclaimer that as Microsure, we don't offer policies that cover suicide for obvious reasons. That is an antisocial behavior. We only cover suicide after a waiting period of 2 years. That's an aside. In India, from 2015 to date, close to 300,000 farmers have committed suicide due to financial distress. In the UK, there was a research which was done between 2010 and 2015. You remember that period was a time when there were financial issues in the United Kingdom. The suicide rate spiked by 50%. I'm mentioning these examples to illustrate a point that most of the issues that lead to suicide, unfortunately, emanate from failure to manage debt, failure to manage finances, and they are to do with financial resources that would have been managed badly.
Yeah.
That is why today on this burning platform, we're going to be looking at the hard facts, the real issues around financial management, and also how to manage debt as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, but Mr. Ndlovu, how do you end up with debt as an entrepreneur? I know sometimes you want capital, want to inject capital into business. How do you end up with debt? Maybe give us a background in terms of when you can acquire debt because of this and that.
Yes, that's a very good question. In fact, you recall that last week we spoke about funding options.
Yes.
And I recall that most of the options that we spoke about really were about someone seeking a loan, someone borrowing capital so that they're able to fund their business. Debt is not necessarily a bad idea. In fact, there's a ratio that is recommended maybe for debt to own capital in terms of startups.
Yeah.
But where the issues come into play is the failure to then service that debt, the failure to manage the debt. And there are very aggressive creditors out there who would give you a sleepless night, who would really hold you by the neck until you have paid. And these are the creditors that then, unfortunately, would then drive people to suicide. So today I want to say, how do you manage that? Because I've always maintained that, and I think it's true, that people don't commit suicide because they owe someone money. But they commit suicide because of the way that the environment around them then changes. When it becomes doom and gloom and they see no option, no way out, unfortunately sometimes they then think that suicide is the way out. And it's never the way out, as I'm going to demonstrate in this conversation. Yes.
In an event that I'm an entrepreneur, I've borrowed money, right, from a creditor, right?
Yes.
To do my project, to do my business. And then my project fails to make any profit or to pay that debt, that credit. How do I manage that debt?
Okay, I'm going to speak to about five strategies that can be used if our time allows. The first thing, maybe the first one is what not to do. Most people believe in switching off their phones, they are not reachable, they don't communicate.
Yeah.
But the most important aspect that is key to managing debt is to be available and also communicate with your creditors. So you might have to renegotiate payment terms. Assuming you're supposed to have repaid within 6 months, you then ask for an extension maybe to 12 months, which then would lower the repayment amount. You might have to negotiate the interest component. So it's important to have this conversation ongoing. The most difficult thing and the most thing that people do, which creates a lot of challenges, is to be unavailable. When we are owing someone money, and suddenly you are an entrepreneur, they try your phone, you have changed phones, you have moved offices, they can't get hold of you. The next thing is they are panicking. And when they panic, the day and the moment that they get hold of you, they will not let you go until you have repaid them. Yes.
So the issue of switching your phone, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm stress over switch off my phone, I can't be reachable, right? What form of counseling, not counseling, but what form of insurance? Where does insurance come in now to say, I'm going to help you? Is it before I incur that debt, or is it after I'm in the debt?
Very interesting line of thought. In fact, as insurers, we have got a lot of products that can assist. Some of the issues arise because someone has lost their income, so there's an income protection scheme that can assist you to protect your income so that you're able to repay the debts. A simple life policy can also assist the family, because sometimes it's the breadwinner. You have seen a lot of projects, very brilliant projects, very brilliant ideas, very promising businesses that die with their founders, because maybe the brain behind the project was the breadwinner, the big idea behind the project themselves. So there are a lot of policies that, in fact, that one can use to protect themselves, so that in the event of death, the family does not get into debt. Yes. And also, there's what we call credit life, which really assists in terms, it's a policy that then pays off the debt in the event that the policyholder dies again. There are policies also that can even protect in terms of default, in terms of drought for the farmers. So these insurance policies are important because they help in the financial management and aspects of the business. Yes.
So it goes back to the planning stage. So I'm planning my startup, I'm planning to do insurance. This goes to planning. Remember, we spoke about planning at some point.
Precisely.
In terms of,
Yes.
It goes back to the planning. In case of I want to borrow money.
Exactly.
Tell us more about that issue in terms of planning. How do I involve now insurance in terms of debt, thinking in mind of debt?
Okay. One of the issues that also affect our entrepreneurs is that when you find yourself in debt, you need to know how to move. There's a method which is called the snowball method. This is where you look at the small debts, so to speak, and you pay them off quickly. Because you are trying to move away from a situation where you have got a lot of creditors. Expecting you to repay your obligations to them, and also you're trying to reduce the level of pressure that you will suffer dealing with a lot of creditors. So you try and pay off these small debts so that you are able to then focus on the big debt. But also before that, you find that as an entrepreneur, when you take out a loan, or when you have an obligation that you have to be repay. We've spoken several times on this platform about the issue of discipline. It's very key to have discipline, so that the money that has been borrowed is used for the purpose for which it was borrowed. Many a times the entrepreneur falls into debt because they have misapplied the funds. They have misused the funds, for a lack of a better expression. And as a result, they are not able to service their obligations. So it's key. I think there's a verse in the Bible that says a borrower is a slave to the one that has borrowed them, because it's key to always be able to repay your debt. Yes.
Many times I always see businesses sometimes giving collateral. Suppose I want a loan, I put my house as a collateral, right? So in the event that I struggle to pay that debt or that loan, speak to us about the role played by the insurance in terms of securing that, or the entire business sometimes can go because if I can't pay debt, I can put the entire business as a collateral. Speak to us about that. How does the insurance come in there to protect my collateral, beat my business as well?
Yes, in fact, it's an important point, because if you put an asset, maybe say you title this to secure a loan. What in essence it means is that, and this is where the issues really come into play. When someone is about to lose their house, they're about to lose their property over debt, that's when now they are sometimes pushed, not always, sometimes pushed to the edge. So what is key in that instance is that obviously if you have a house, before you use it as security, look at other available options that the banks might accept. We have spoken before of performance bonds that insurers can always give. That would give you a better option than maybe putting a family house, because the pressure now comes from the family, it's coming from the creditors. So as a result, you find that because of that pressure now, the person is then pushed to the edge. Where does insurance come in? There is, I've spoken about the risk of default. Where possible, you can even get insurance on the loan, so that in the event of a certain specified event happening, be it death, be it unemployment, be it maybe, we spoke about business continuity, be it the business being affected, you are then able to recover from the insurance company. So that is very key. But I want to mention that, unfortunately, for the entrepreneur, you need to plan this beforehand. You can't raise your hand when you're already drowning. Well, help can be given, there's counseling, but it's important for someone to have a roadmap of what they're trying to achieve, so that they are assisted. Yes.
Nowadays, there's mental health issues of depression as well. When someone is in debt, they go through mental health issues, they go to depression.
Yes.
Speak to us more about how debt influences that. To say, we have seen many suicide cases in Bulawayo, for example. You spoke about earlier in the show. How does debt influence depression? Now I'm going through depression because I owe many people money, I owe loans and so on.
Yes, I think it's an important point that you are raising. Earlier on, I spoke about paying off the small debts. Maybe I should also mention that sometimes it's important to also look at the debt that is accruing the highest interest and clear it, because that is where the pressure comes from. There are a lot of issues that comes in terms of the mind, in terms of the mental health, in terms of the mental state of the individual when they are in debt. But what is important is to keep the communication lines open, and where possible, in fact, let me say where possible, always seek counseling, seek help, speak to someone. Because I mentioned it earlier on in this beginning that the pressure to either end up committing suicide does not come from someone owing, maybe they're owing someone thousands of dollars. It doesn't come from that, in my view. It comes from the toxic environment that is created by the creditors. There are people who, if you owe money, they don't find it unusual to call you during midnight, to call you at midnight, to call you in the morning. They'll call you every hour. You pay up, but you don't have the money. So it doesn't matter what time they call you. It doesn't matter how many times they call you. You don't have the money. So you're not able to pay them up. So that then drives people to the edge. But you could also, the other way of looking at it is also to say, who else can give you money at that point in time? There are people who might be more understanding, maybe it's relatives. You then pay off this unreasonable credit. Unreasonable, I'm using it very lightly there, because if you owe someone money, you have to pay them. But there are people who are always willing to negotiate and listen to you. But there are people who will not listen. When you owe them money, they own you. So they will really drive you crazy until you think the solution is to commit suicide. But it's never a solution. For the entrepreneur, one of the key issues that you must have as an entrepreneur is to always be positive. Always know that there's a better tomorrow. Today might be sunny, like it's cold today in Bulawayo, but we know that one day the sun is going to shine again. So you must always have that mind that there is a better tomorrow ahead. There is something better. It's not all gloom and doom. Because if you don't have hope, then you think all avenues have been closed, all doors are closed. Then the next thing that you do is to commit suicide.
Yeah.
Yes.
But also, last time we spoke about the issue of funding, with the source of fund, types of fund that we have, right? I can go to a bank, get for a loan there. But also, I want to go for amashonisa, like the loan sharks.
Yes.
You know, those ones, they call you every hour on my money. And also, Lava registered. Lava collateral, will just give you the money. But also, can you advise an entrepreneur to say, can you go and take a loan from mashonisa? Is it advisable to take a loan from mashonisa?
I don't think, in my view, I don't think it's advisable, because what really matters is the interest rate. I think you remember we were talking earlier on about interest rates of 30% per month, 40% per month on the USD. In my view, that is unsustainable. I don't know what kind of business one will be running to be able to repay the loan and pay an interest of 40% in a month. I don't know what kind of business that will be. So it's always important to then seek funding from spaces and areas and sources that are sustainable and that are reasonable, so that you're able to repay the loan. Because other places will then create challenges for the entrepreneur. Yes.
I know Microsure's tagline is more than just insurance, right? It's a friend, a relative, someone, a companion, right? A comforter. I know you've been working with entrepreneurs across the country. Speak to us more about the work that you've been doing in trying to help them avoid getting into debt, also managing their debt. Speak to us more about that in brief, in terms of the work you've been doing with other entrepreneurs across the country.
Thank you very much. In fact, for us as Microsure, we believe that knowledge is power. In that it's important for entrepreneurs to have a roadmap, a mental map of where they are going, what they are trying to achieve. So how do we achieve this? We do what we call, which is part of this platform that we have today, of the Microsure Entrepreneurship Burning Platform, where we try and give financial advice. We also try and assist them. I had a colleague who was having financial challenges, and they were deep in debt. And when I looked at their situation, they had 3 cars. And I said to them, but what do you need 3 cars for? Why don't you sell one of the vehicles and you pay off your loans? And so sometimes people get into debt because they are not careful of how they are handling their finances. I would say that if you're an entrepreneur, look at things that you don't need and dispose of them and put that money in business, because it becomes a cheap and affordable form of capital. An entrepreneur might be having a car, but maybe the line of your business that you are into does not even require you to have a vehicle. Why not sell that vehicle and invest in the business? And also, it's not just having a car, it's what kind of car are you having? So sometimes when the entrepreneur, 2 years into the business, they want to drive a very expensive car. The servicing costs are very high, the maintenance costs are very high, and all the money that they are making is now going into servicing and maintaining this vehicle. And even the lifestyle starts to change. They are now a new person. They want to be, well, they used to use public transport. They now want to fly, and they want to all sorts of things. I'm not saying that people must not express themselves when the money is there, but it will be very unreasonable and very unwise to then use a loan to make those expressions about your status, about that I have arrived. Because certainly, before you know it, the creditor would have arrived and they'll be asking for their money. And when they do, then you are driven to the edge. Yes.
So would you agree with me to say poor planning leads to entrepreneurs jumping to debt, being involved in debt?
Yes, yes and no. Because sometimes it's not really necessarily poor planning. Sometimes it is poor planning in a way, because you could have taken an insurance policy. For example, if you're a farmer, you take out a loan, you have hope that it's going to be a good season, and unfortunately, like we are dealing with climate change now, due to bad weather, there is a 100% loss. But you can't go to the bank and say, I lost everything. They still want you to repay the loan. You can't go to a transporter and tell them that, look, the money that I borrowed and I said I would pay you for the transport costs, I lost. You can't go to the input supplier and say, I lost the inputs because of the drought. They still want you to pay. So that is why it is important for a farmer to take out an insurance policy. You are a kekli farmer, you have got 300, 400 kekli. It can happen that a disease can just come in and you lose everything. But you might have used a loan to build that head of kekli. And suddenly you don't have the kekli, you don't have the loan, but the creditor still wants you to meet your obligations. So that is why on this platform we emphasize that insurance is a key. If you just look at assets, if an entrepreneur, look at all your assets, are they insured? Are you covered? Because insurance is like an umbrella during bad weather. When the weather comes and you don't have the umbrella, it's a problem. So when you need it most. So you find that it's an important point, because you might face calamities, but if you are insured, you are then able to quickly recover. It is recovery that is important more than the loss. Yes.
If there's an entrepreneur watching this Microsure Burning Platform this morning, right, they're in debt now, they don't have any insurance, will you say everything's now doomy and gloomy, or there's still hope if they don't have insurance?
I would say that it's not gloom and doom for them. They have an opportunity to engage with us for counseling, to engage with us for guidance in terms of how to proceed. The first point that I would make is, if you're an entrepreneur and you are deep in debt, like they say, stop digging. Don't get into more debt. Try to come out of that debt, restructure the debt, talk to the creditors, look around you. If you are into textile, for example, how many machines do you have? Maybe you have 20 machines. Why don't you sell 5 machines, remain with 15, pay off your debt? So look at creative ways of coming out of that debt. And of course, learn your lesson. There is Microsure more than insurance. After you've come out of the debt, please come and see us, talk to us so that we can assist you. But even before you have come out of the debt, raise your hand. We're always there to assist you. I would say without any hesitation that suicide is not the answer. In fact, it creates more problems for the family. It leaves people shattered. And also, it doesn't pay the debt. Because there is no way that says if you commit suicide, then all your debts are cancelled. No, it just means that you are just running away from a problem. The problem remains there. So be a man, be a woman, deal with the issue, face it, and remember, today might be difficult, but there is a tomorrow. They say that the darkest hour is before dawn. So always keep the hope that, yes, things are difficult today, but tomorrow is a new day. It's a better day. Yeah.
So before we close off the show this morning, please remind our audience at home and our viewers at home, our packages as Microsure and also our premiums as Microsure. What do we offer as Microsure?
Thank you very much. As Microsure, we offer funeral cash plan. It starts from as low as 10 cents for a child. The highest premium that anyone can pay is about $2 for an adult. So we believe that our policies are very affordable. We are part of the vision to ensure that there is financial inclusion in the country. So anybody and anyone who needs insurance cannot be excluded on the basis that there is an affordable, because we have tailored our packages, we have customized them to be afforded by anyone doing anything anywhere in the country. So we are looking forward to having more conversations so that we include everyone in terms of our packages. Yes.
So thanks so much for your time, for joining us today on the Microsure Burning Platform. It was quite engaging, and I hope people learned a lesson there in terms of how to manage their debt. Thanks so much for your time, sir.
Thanks so much, Brighton. If you're out there as an entrepreneur and you have lost everything and you think suicide is the answer, I hope we have answered you today. It's definitely not the answer. Microsure is the answer. More than insurance, we're here to counsel you, we're here to assist you, we're here to hold your hand until the next day when everything is bright and shining for you.
Well, there we have it, guys. You've been watching the Microsure Burning Platform. This is Asake Online. My name is Brighton Ncube, and my guest for this morning is the Chief Executive Officer for Microsure Insurance, that's Nkosikhona Ndlovu. They're speaking to us about how to manage our debt. If you're an entrepreneur, they are in debt now, you can approach their Microsure, they visit their offices there and get assistance for now. Microsure Insurance, more than just insurance. Hope you guys enjoyed the show this morning.